Well, I want to share some uh, June tips with you guys today. We'll start with the very first thing about June is it's the critical time when all of us need to make decisions. Like, you're going to get to a point where you can't make decisions anymore to influence your colony because you're so far into the season. So be thinking now about making decisions such as mites. Let me explain. So, I always advocate that you test for mites, that you treat them if they need treated based on your test. And then after you treat them, wait a couple of weeks and then test them again to see if the treatment worked. So, right now, this is the time to really gain control over the Varroa destructor mite. So, if you're new to beekeeping, you don't know what they look like, I got a picture there. That's what a mite looks like on some drone pupae there. There's a couple of them. I kind of see 4 or 5 actually, but 2 are real obvious right there. And that's how small they are on a pupae. And you want to control that because these mites are spreading viruses. And I know it seems so harmless, a little bug. What can a little bug do my hive? They can destroy, they can kill your hive. That's going to show up mostly in the wintertime. So your bees are going to be filled with all these viruses, and bees feed each other mouth to mouth, and these viruses take their toll on our bees, certainly in the wintertime. So you need to make decisions now about mites, and that is, how do you feel about mites? Are you doing some tests, either a powdered sugar test or a alcohol wash? And then your numbers, we always use the same kind of mathematical equation, and that is we want to see less than 3 mites per 100 bees. And we usually sample, let's see, 1 mite per 100 bees. We sample 300 mites to kind of broaden our average, but then we average it out. So if you test for 300 bees and, now I'm going to be forced to do math in my head. And let's say you have 9 mites out of 300, that still comes out to 3%. That's still 3 mites per 100. So that's what you're looking at or below. If it gets above that, then you got to consider your method of control. And it may be some integrated pest management like screen bottom board, green drone comb, breaking the queen's brood cycle, powdered sugar dusting, and all that. Or you might be one to bring out the big guns, the salicylic acid, Formic Pro, and ApiGuard, ApiLife, all the various treatments that are available to us. And I've just said a few. But anyway, you need to make that decision now. And you might even want to get things in order. Like if you need to buy your treatment, if you think you're going to need it, you might want to buy it now to have it on hand, because mites are going to explode in the month of July and August and September. So you might be low in number now, but they're going to really explode because they're multiplying with all your different generations of bees that are multiplying. So make the decisions about mites now. Make a note, write it down. Oh, David's right. I need to face the facts about mites. I need to test them. I need to start really controlling my mites. I'm telling you, I wish it wasn't so. Believe me, I tried not to treat mites forever to raise queens that could do the trick. But boy, you're going to lose a lot more hives if you let your mites that are infected with viruses infest your bees. So that's just a known thing. Secondly, got to make a decision about honey supers. Now's the time to really say, oh, I got to put my honey supers on. Now, I know some of you might be saying, I live really far up north. I live really far down south. It's different where you live, David, than where I live. Yeah, we're going to be weeks different, but you can still apply this. So, when you start having a honey flow, then that's when you want to have your supers on there to capture that honey flow. However, it works hand in hand with your mite treatments, because some mite treatments you can't have supers on. So if you get into a treatment that lasts, it requires you not to put supers on for, let's say, 42 days, you don't want to use that treatment because that takes you out of the honey season. You want to use something faster that only requires, even like Formic Pro and a salic you can use with honey supers on. So these are decisions you need to make now as far as your honey supers go. If you're going to use some of the treatments that require that 42-day period of time, then you got to say, I can't put my supers on and I'm going to miss the flow. See how that's important to know. You need to make that decision now about your honey supers and how it works with your mite treatments. Also, you need to think about hive configuration. I know you're adding boxes. Those of you that are new to beekeeping, you're adding a deep or a super, they're growing into more boxes. What is your limit? What do you want? You want a single deep? Do you want a deep and a honey super on top? Do you want 2 deeps and put as many supers? You need to think through that now. Think about your configuration. What are you going to leave on for winter? Are you going to let them have 2 deeps and a honey super? That all needs to be decided now, because you're going to work toward making all of that filled out and packed full before winter. See, you need to decide now. Don't just decide in October, well, I think I might put another deep on. Well, they're not going to draw anything out. So start thinking about how you want your hive configured for the season and going into winter. Also, June is a month where we really ought to start heavily controlling our small hive beetle. Beetles are going to be expanding when it gets more humid. Some of you are already in hot, humid weather. Beetles love that. They grow fast there. They expand. So the more you can keep your beetles under control initially and knock them down, it's so helpful in the long run. Believe me, it's so helpful. I'm getting ready to put a bunch of grub eggs in my YouTube studio apiary down the road. GrubX is going to do the role of keeping a lot of grubs at bay, including the small hive beetle larvae that jump into the ground from your hives, and they pupate, come out as adult beetles. So GrubX is showing really good signs of controlling the larvae in the ground. And then, as I mentioned, how are you going to overwinter? That's important now, because you need to decide what needs to be completely filled out, stored up. And so you're going to be working toward that all year long. So that gives you an idea of what you can put on your hive extra. Like if you're going to go through the season right now with 2 deeps and you want them to also have their own honey super, well, then you need to add another honey super for you if you want honey, or super or 2. So you might need 3 supers. So be thinking about your overwintering configuration. I do both. Sometimes I'll let them overwinter with an extra super on top. Sometimes I don't. It all depends. But a lot of my hives I let them have a super for the winter time, just more to eat, even though I feed them my winter bee kinds. Now you need to monitor growth. Thanks, Titus. You need to monitor growth in the month of June. And that means it's really important. Listen up. It's so important that you really monitor your queen. How's your queen doing? And I mean, is she just laying crazy? Now, this is a good picture of eggs. Those of you that have trouble seeing eggs, every time you do an inspection, I advocate every 2 weeks once you get out of swarm season, once a week during swarm season. But now you're doing an inspection every 2 weeks and looking for this right here. Are there eggs in the center of the frame? I just released a video today showing the difference between an overactive new queen or new comb versus laying workers. Both have multiple cells or multiple eggs and cells. And so I released a video today showing how you can tell a difference. Is this a really active queen, or is this a laying workers? But this is what you're supposed to see, single eggs at the back of the cell back there. You're going to monitor your boxes like we talked about. I used to make the mistake of not putting enough supers on, honey supers. And so I would oftentimes miss out on good honey flows because they would so rapidly fill up 1 or 2 supers that I had on there. And I think they could have easily filled up 4, drawn out and filled up 2 more. So in a heavy nectar flow, don't get caught off guard, but don't put so many on there that beetles have room to just hang out and do their thing. You want bees to be on your supers. So keep contributing more boxes as you see them expanding. Again, every 5 to 7 frames drawn out in a box, add another box. And so you need to also monitor the growth and the stored resources. Are they getting enough pollen? Are they getting enough food resources? Do they have plenty on board to support their growing colony in June? Or are they limping along and lacking? And so we'll talk about feeding them in just a minute. But these are the things you want to do, is monitor the growth and get ahead of any problems that you might see. Well, feeding in the month of June, we do need to feed if they are drawing out comb. This is going to help them so much. You can see in the picture here, there's a jar of sugar water. Something around 1-to-1 sugar water is going to help them draw out more wax, produce more wax to put it on the comb to make their foundations expand. So if you've got a hive that does not have their frames drawn out yet, feeding is going to help that. So don't give up feeding. And you also want to feed if the colony is very weak. Weak. If they're really low in numbers and they're limping along, it's going to help them so much if they have a little more food, because if they're weak, they don't have a good foraging team. So they're not bringing a lot of resources in, and they need a lot of resources to ramp up brood production. They don't have it. They can't ramp up brood production. And without brood production, they'll never get bigger. It's a catch-22. So feeding a weak colony is going to help. And feeding if they're low on resources, that's an obvious one. I made a video, I think this week, where I said, when do you stop feeding? And I taught you guys in that video how to assess it, how to look at it and say, there's not enough in here. I need to feed them. And then you need to feed them anytime that you're not collecting honey. Now, that's not a, matter of fact, sure thing. There's a little variance there. But the way to look at it is anytime that you don't have a honey super on there, where, if you're collecting honey in a super, you don't want to feed them, they'll put sugar water in your supers. But if you're not collecting honey in your honey supers, might be a good time to feed them. There's the reason honey supers aren't on there. It's a dearth, the honey season's over. So you might consider. Now, they can have a lot on board and you may not need to feed them. That'd be something that you'll just have to really investigate. Also, June is almost the last month, really, for me, for Illinois. It's almost the last month that I can rely on outstanding, I emphasize outstanding, comb building, because June is a major month for me that my bees are building out comb. So that's going to be something that if you really need those honey supers drawn out, that brand new box you bought and the frames, foundations aren't drawn out, rely on June to be that month, because there's usually, for me in Illinois, there's so much clover, the white Dutch clover in the yards just starting to pop really strong now. Bees are all over it and they have a lot of nectar. They're going to build a lot of comb. And of course, as I've always advocated, made a video last week as well about waxing ahead of time those foundation frames. So if you've got undrawn foundation, put some wax on there and it's going to help them draw that comb out so much. So don't wait until late fall. Everybody does that. I mean, I get so many people that says, I know it's August, but my bees just aren't drawing out any comb. It's just because there's not a real strong nectar flow, and they have to turn that nectar or honey into wax by consuming it. It metabolizes in their system. And remember, around 10 pounds of intake of nectar is going to produce 1 pound of wax. So they really got to consume a lot of it. And finally, honey production is big time in the month of June for most of us. So now you got to think about how many supers do I need to put on there? More is better. It really is. Because the bees can surprise you. I've seen a lot of comments that you guys have been leaving me on my YouTube channel in the comment section about, wow, I put a super on, they drew it out in a week. I've seen outstanding things done with honey supers in no time with a ferociously active hive, and you put a new super on there, in no time it's filled up. When I lived in Ohio, I started beekeeping there. I actually would empty out or extract out one of my supers and put it right back on the hive. We call that a wet super because it has remnants of the honey that all of it didn't get extracted out. And they actually filled it up, 10 frames, filled it up, capped it over 5 days later. Now, I lived near an Amish community that had acres and acres and acres of clover for their cattle and such. So my bees just worked crazy. So anyway, think about, adding enough supers. Now you got to think about when to harvest. You might be able to harvest something in June. Now, why would you harvest in June? Well, if you are limited on the amount of supers that you have and you don't want to buy another one, can't afford another honey super, don't want to put 2 on there, you can actually harvest some of the frames in there. I've done that many times. If I want to harvest 3 frames, I can pull 3 frames out and harvest them and put them back in the same day. and they're not going to build any comb within that limited time. So you can harvest an entire capped over super and drop it back on there the same day, and they'll just fill it up again. So that's awesome. So be thinking about that. I want to speak briefly about a refractometer. If you're not familiar with a refractometer, that's a great little device that you can put a drop of honey on, a screen on it. You get them for $30, and you can look in and see the moisture level of your honey to see if it's ready to be harvested. I really encourage you to invest in a refractometer, because sometimes it's ready to be harvested before it's capped over. And so you could take it. So we're looking for about 18% moisture level, generally speaking, for it to be ready. So in the picture here, you can see the top part of the comb is capped over. The lower part isn't. And I've made videos where I've actually tested the open cells that you see in the picture, and they turned out to be 18%. So even though they're not capped over, they're trying to cap them over. They're ready. And so you could take that and harvest it by testing it first. But you don't want to harvest a frame you're not sure of, because it could be 25% moisture, ferment, turn to vinegar, taste bad, and blow a jar up. I don't know if it blow your jar up, but it builds a lot of pressure up if you've ever done that. And then you have to think about equipment. You need an extractor, you need a cutting knife, you need extracting buckets, and you need some type of way to strain out the wax from your honey harvesting. There's a handful of things that you got to have. I like to extract minimally, so I use a cold knife, a serrated cold knife, to cut my cappings off. I use my own buckets. I don't buy beekeeping buckets. It's such an upcharge if it says beekeeping on it. You just go to Walmart or Lowe's or Menards and buy a Tupperware bucket or something, right? And a knife, and you can make your own little frame holder to hold it over the bucket with a piece of wood and a screw or a nail sticking through it to hold your frame from wobbling around. And there you go. And so that works out really well. But be thinking about the equipment, because you want to have all that in place and ready. Also, you want to be thinking about, the perfect conditions prior to supers on. And this is something I mentioned briefly earlier, where I talked about the medication. So the perfect conditions before you put your supers on, that's going to be important, because perfect condition means you want beetles to be at their minimal, right? Because beetles love honey supers, so you want them at their minimal. And then you also want to be sure that your treatments are legally finished. Like some require you to complete your treatments and then wait so many days or weeks before you put a honey super on. So you've got to acquire those perfect conditions to put your honey supers on. And the most perfect condition is heavy nectar flow. So once you have that heavy nectar flow and your treatments are legally finished, where you can put supers on now, and you've got the equipment ready to put them on there and harvest it, away you go. And that's all the things that you're going to be doing in the month of June, everybody. That's great. I hope you enjoyed that. So yeah, June's a busy month for us. It's a month where we have to kind of scramble and make sure, May, we're trying to get everything going. In June, it's going, but we can't keep up with it. So a lot to do. Hey, you got a new member. Thanks, Deborah, for joining the channel here. Appreciate that so much. We'll have another live stream for our memberships coming up soon, so we appreciate that. Janetta too. Okay, wow. Another new member on supporting the YouTube cause here on my channel. Appreciate that so much. Got a big Beak Squad poster behind me, and Beak Squad is the name that we coined for all of us to get together and kind of just share together our journey through beekeeping. It's a lot of fun, and I'm here to help you best I can. I'm taking my experience of nearly 30 years since I started beekeeping and my knowledge of beekeeping, and trying to share it with you guys here on my live stream. So I hope you appreciate that so much. And boy, we can jump right into questions. Stick around. We do have a giveaway coming up. I'm going to announce that at a little bit later, so don't go anywhere. Appreciate you being here tonight. And I see a lot of people making donations tonight, and I know sometimes they hold those back while I'm teaching, not to stump me, but I appreciate all the donations that I saw go by. Thank you all so much for that. Hey, Chad, how you doing? Wondering if I stuck a queen excluder in the entrance so the queen can't fly away, would it stop a swarm? Thanks. For all intents and purposes, it should stop a swarm. Yes, because they want to swarm with the mated mother queen that's been in the parent colony, right? Their bees can do what they want to, though. So I'm never going to say never. So I can see a scenario that could possibly happen where if they can't get mama through the screen and they have swarm cells and those swarm cells are hatching, it is remotely possible that a virgin queen could squeeze through there and they could swarm with her. I've seen swarms with virgin queens. I think that's rare. I think you're holding them back by putting that on there. I've done it. I made a video this year where I did it and it worked for me, but you don't want to leave it on there too long. That's just a really quick way for you to say, boom, well, let me put that on there real quick while I go in there and knock those cells down and make a split or something. Yeah, it's an emergency thing you could try. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, Dennis, when making queen cells, when do you take them out of the finisher hive, move to incubator, or wait until time to move to queenless nukes? Yeah. So, Dennis, I'll explain this. I know you know what you're talking about, and I want to explain it to the other people in our live stream tonight. But when we raise queens, we do our own grafting. After 24 hours in a starter hive, we move those cells over to a finishing hive, which is basically just two deeps with a queen excluder between the deeps, queen below, and no queen up above. We can move our grafts over there into that top of the deep. Now, Dennis is asking, when do we take them out of the finishing hive? I like to take them out a day before they emerge. So pretty much after day 13 from when the egg was laid, we can start moving them around. It's not going to hurt them. And then you can take those cells and I punch them into mating nukes. But if my mating nukes are full, I'll punch them into incubators. I made a video where I had some in an incubator this year already. So you can do either. Preferably, it would be better to put them in queenless nukes because we believe that when you do, the nurse bees, the young bees in there will massage the queen cell, keep it warm, kind of keep it in a hive setting, and then the queen emerges in there. It's a little awkward when she emerges in our incubators because sometimes they're hungry, they need fed, they need to do their thing, and if they're in an incubator, and you may miss that, so it might not be best for them unless you're really on top of it. Yeah, good question, Dennis. Oh, thank you, Titus. All right. Hey, Linda, I watched your video on laying workers. I was wondering if the drones, the laying workers lays, are viable for mating with virgin queens. They are, and they kind of aren't. Yeah, I think they contain enough sperm to get the job done. And there's some people that I've read some reports or studies or literature that says, yeah, they're quite capable of mating with virgin queens. On the other hand, some people say they might be a little bit below par. I mean, they're going to be smaller if they're raised in worker-sized cell. Can they keep up with the big boys in flight? So the answer to that is, I think they could in a pinch, but it's not nature's best option. How about that? Yeah. Thanks, Alex, for your gift and donation tonight. Appreciate it, Alex. Kind of you. Hey, Ben, how are you? We live in West Michigan. What's the best objective way to discern when a flow starts and when it becomes a dearth period? Yeah, I get that question asked a lot. And Ben, that is a question that so many people ask because we think that there's a close comparison between the two, but there is not. They are starkly different. For example, a strong honey flow, bees are just like, you think they're swarming. It's just crazy. And bees are everywhere. They're flying like crazy. But I always use this. This is what I've always said. Go in front of your hive and count, or to the side, and see start counting the number of bees that you can physically see going in and out, like 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can't keep counting, you're in a nectar flow. If you can count them relatively, most of them, if you can count most of them, it's a dearth. Like if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a dearth. But if you go 1 and then you see a big stream of bees coming and going, that's a honey flow. It's as simple as that. It's just what you would think. It's like crazy. Both of them are very distinctively different. One is like overwhelmingly busy and active. You can't count them. One is just, oh no, what happened? Here in Illinois, it's like somebody flipped a switch. Thank you for the super sticker tonight. Appreciate that so much. You guys are great to contribute to the live stream tonight. Always appreciate it so much. Absolutely. Learned at my club meeting Tuesday that based on research, 50 to 60% of the mites in your hive are unseen in the cap cells. So test number times 2. Oh, we take that in consideration. Are you saying, times 2? I don't believe so. No, we're taking all that in consideration when we have that mite count. What's the infestation level? So that would be something I would stick to your numbers. But you are right. That's why that we need to think about how many mites are in the cap cells. They're reproducing. They reproduce at a rate of like 2.7 or 2.5 mites per cell. And that will come out. They outbrood the bees in August, for example. Your bees start slacking off on making bees, and now your mites are really making a lot of mites, so they will outbrood them. Yeah. Stick to the. I don't know if I would times it by 2, unless there's new research I'm not aware of. But these tests help us a lot to keep it below 3 mites per 100. Good thinking. Actually, if you could keep it to 0 or 1 mite per 100, that would be better. Yeah. Thanks, Tim. Tim Sanders, good to see you. Thank you for your super sticker tonight. Appreciate that so much. Hey, Stephanie, does getting in a hive too often make them mean? Will they ever be nice again? Yes and no. I have some very nice hives that I can get into quite often, and they don't get any meaner. They're fine all the time. I'm grafting the progeny from that hive. I have other hives that are very mean, and the more I get in there, the meaner they get. So like any animal, they have a level of irritability that is breached at some point, and it's going to be different based on that hive's DNA. It really is. Just like people. Some people, you can poke the bear, and one poke irritates them, and they bite your head off. Other people, you can poke the bear 100 times, and they're still nice. Can you make them nice again? Probably not unless you requeen it. So if you got a tough hive, I'm going to do a video of the tough hive that I've got that it's a monster. I mean, it's not Africanized or anything, but it's just rough. And so the longer you're in there, the meaner it gets. There's nothing I can do to make them nice. Thank you, Fola, for your gift tonight. I appreciate it, buddy. It's nothing to make them nice than just requeening it, but I won't requeen this colony. I won't do it. They're too good. You can't kill them. They produce extraordinary amount of honey, of bees. I'm just putting up with them. Do you have people in your life like that? Do you have some people in your life that are like a mean hive? They really add value to your life. So you don't want to, well, I'm just kidding, but yeah, bees are the same way. Andy, overwintered hive is not growing rapidly as it should. Queen is there, but they're kind of small. Will adding a frame of cap brood to it spur the queen to lay more possibility? It would, if the problem is nurse bees aren't pulling their weight and feeding the young larvae. That could be a big thing. It's move over cap brood that's going to emerge and become nurse bees in 6 days after they emerge. So if it doesn't have a lot of brood in there, that could be a problem too. Usually it's a combination, not enough resources. So the queen can't lay enough because they're not feeding her enough. And what she lays they can't feed the larvae enough, they start consuming the larvae for protein. It's a catch-22. A hive becomes in survival mode. And until it gets that effect where it's snowballing, where you're having enough bees to tend to stuff, yeah, it's rough. So I would add look at the resources. Do they need a frame of honey? Add some resources of honey. Pull a frame of honey over there. Pull a frame of capped brood. But the queen is the first thing you want to look at. Is she going to lay big sheets of capped brood? If not, I'd replace the queen. Good question. Lots going on there probably. Never know for sure what's going on. Hi, Rebecca. I mentioned green drone comb in a mite video. I could only get medium today. Will that work? Do I need a deep? Also, do you use the green pin cage a few days ago? Also, do you use the queen pin cage a few days ago more than once a season? I don't know what that last sentence means. But so I would say the green drone comb medium will work. Put it in your deep box. What they're going to do is add drone comb below it. And you can just tear that off or leave it and freeze it. Same thing, right? They're just going to add, 3 more inches of that drone comb to the bottom. If that's all you can get, use it. It'll work. I've done that. It's great. I wish I knew what you meant by queen pin cage a few days more than once a season. Oh, a queen pin cage. Do you mean the little hair clip thing to catch queens? Okay, yeah. Yeah, you can use that as often as you want. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't get old. No, as long as it works. All right, good. Janetta, how does everyone keep records? Permanent ones you can compare year to year. Oh boy, let me tell you my best record keeping story. I have a lot of journals, and I'm like the mad scientist. I'm always writing ideas down and creating stuff in journals all the time. Keep one by your bed, wake up in the middle of the night with an idea, you write it down. Well, I had this big, thick book. It's a journal book, and it's got hard cover to it. And so what I would do is I would go to, I think at the time I had like almost 100 colonies. So I would go out there and I would write my journal, hive number 47, blah, 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 right? And I had this, one day I was working out there keeping journal, and I left that book. I set the book down in kind of a V of a tree, whatever that's called, and worked the bees and all. Forgot about the book, forgot my journal book. Had all the information about what my bees need and everything. And it started raining that night. And the next day I was like, where's my log book? Where's my journal book? I went out to the tree where I put it in. That book was like this thick. The paper just got wet and expanded so big. And in no time, those pages got so moldy. I kept using it. I think I put it in a press and try to make it small again. There are so many modern day digital ways, apps you can use. For me, I like writing on the top of my top covers. That's just really good for me to do that. But I know some people have very minimal number of hives. So if you got less than 5, you can do different things. But if you have a whole bunch, it gets kind of complicated. But yeah, people might leave comments in the chat about what they use and kind of give you some ideas too. It's just your personal preference. It really is. I'm also a ham radio operator, amateur radio operator, and I like talking on my amateur radio. I talk to people over the pond, Italy, the UK, and such. And then I'm bad about keeping logs there. Sometimes I'm talking, you're supposed to keep logs. And I'm like, oh shoot, I've been talking to 16 people. I didn't write anything down. And they have all these logging programs for amateur radio operators that are the same thing as beekeeping logs. So yeah. Stephanie says, how late in the season will bees swarm? I mentioned that last live stream. They can swarm in the fall. They get a nectar flow and they'll swarm again. The amount of swarms in the fall is greatly less than in the spring. Still happens in the fall. Absolutely. All right. How do I prevent being honeybound? The best thing you can do is keep adding more supers above the brood nest area. And so the bees get the idea that they need to put the honey above the brood nest area. That's what they do in nature. That's what they do in a tree. And so that's really important to realize more supers above. And I know if you don't have them drawn out, that's usually when they get honeybound. until they get drawn out. So, yeah, that's about all you can do. Drawn out comb is so precious. By the way, if you haven't taken a class yet, we do have online beekeeping courses that would be really beneficial for you guys to take. So check those out on our website at honeybeesonline.com. Thousands of people have enjoyed our online beekeeping courses, and has helped so many people. I've seen several of you leave comments about the classes, so we do appreciate you taking a class and being educated. Absolutely. Hey, John. Hi, David and Sherry. We are your students of the past 5 years. Our overwintered hives are 2 deeps and wall-to-wall brood filling supers. Should we add a 3rd deep or start splitting? Yeah, that's a very good question, John. That is a philosophical, personal question that you're asking. And I shouldn't be the one to answer that. You should be. In other words, your hives are doing great. You could either split them or you could keep adding more boxes. But I don't think personally, I'll just tell you what I would do, but I wouldn't add a 3rd brood box. I just think that's too much brood in a hive. I might add more honey supers and just let them keep expanding. But if you need the bees, you can split them. So that'd be great. Yeah. Oh, I got over 600 viewers tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Gosh, I'm humbled by your, I'm really humbled. We crossed 145,000 subscribers last week, and that's really humbling. I'm not a guy that's, feeling good about the numbers for numbers' sake, but I'm feeling good that people value the things that I teach, what I'm offering. I'm glad that people are pursuing being educated in beekeeping. So that thrills me. It really does. Wow. Oh, thank you, Lucille, for becoming a member of my YouTube channel. Wow, that's great. I think we're up to near 75, 80 YouTube members on the channel now. So I appreciate that. Hello, Carol. Good to see you here tonight. Converging queens return from a mating flight, drift into the wrong hive. They do it all the time. Oh my gosh, they do. And it creates a war. We had 3 hopelessly queenless colonies that are now queen right. Yeah, I sometimes feel like the bees, the poor queenless, hopelessly queenless bees are on their bottom board out front, and they're just shouting up in the air, please, any queen available? We're hopelessly queenless. And then some virgin queen that just got mated feels sorry for him and goes there. I don't know. That's not true, but I think it's funny. I've had that happen so many times. Usually they get killed when they fly into the wrong hive, especially if there's a queen right queen in there, they'll kill them. Huh, that's a good question. Oh, those poor virgin queens, Yeah. All right. Kathy, how do you know when you have too many hives in an area? Are there any clear signs? I know what you're asking. Like, can I have too many hives in one area that exhausts the nectar availability of resources? And I think you can. I think if you had, 100 hives and there was only a half acre in the middle of a desert, you're going to see those 100 hives not have very much nectar and very much honey. And that's because the resources aren't available and they're just working their death over those handful of flowers. So it's all about looking at Google Maps and taking a ride in your car, a 3-mile radius around your house, and see what kind of resources you have. Like I said, it's going to take a lot of hives before you exhaust most resources, unless you do live out in the desert, because bees can fly up to 3 miles comfortably, even further. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Hey, Tanya, thanks so much, Tanya, for your super sticker tonight. Appreciate that so much. Thanks, guys, for your donations. I think that's great. Oh, yeah. Brian's Backyard Sanctuary. That sounds like a nice place to sit and have a cup of coffee in the morning and maybe a glass of whiskey at night. Watch the sunset. Would you suggest putting 1-to-1 sugar water back on top of my 2nd deep if they're not drawing any out? This is after replacing frames with re-wax foundation. Yes, I would. Absolutely. Let's do it. You don't want a honey super on there at that time, but yeah, feed them. Let them use that resource of sugar water to help draw that wax out. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, David, I just harvested 2 flow hive frames and honey is 20.5 moisture. Will my convection oven dry the honey at 110 Fahrenheit? Oh, boy. David, I ran into the same problem with my flow hive all year long. Last year, kept trying to get some honey out of it. And it was always like you're saying, it was always 20, 21, 22. I just got frustrated that I couldn't get it capped over or something. I don't know. And I harvested it for myself at a high moisture content, and I just had to eat it quickly before I became drunk from fermented honey. And I did eat it, but some of it got, I'll be honest with you, some of it got so fermented, I didn't even like the taste anymore. But oh well. Drying down honey is going to be a challenge, David. It is difficult to dry honey. It can be done. People have discovered different ways to do it. I've done it by putting my supers in a very dry room with a dehumidifier around 50%, and it does help dry it out with a fan going. So you can try things like that, but it's tough. Sneezy Ferret. Hey, David, thank you for your gift tonight. I saw quite a lot of wax fragments on the hive bottom. What are they doing? Remodeling? Is this normal? No, wax fragments means one of two things. It means that they're producing so much wax that they lose grip of it, the wax flakes, and it falls to the bottom. Or it means they got robbed. Robber bees will leave a lot of wax fragments on the bottom board because they're cutting open the honey supers and robbing it. In your case, it didn't sound like you saw robbers. It just means they can't handle. They're making so much wax. It's just like when you build a house, there's a bunch of scrap wood. And when you're building hot and heavy, you're tripping over wood that you're cutting and is falling on the floor and nobody has time to pick it up. I used to help my dad build houses and wire houses. And yeah, that's how that goes. June bug. Do you put a honey super on a hive if super seeder cells are present? That's the thing. If you got a real good workforce of foragers, no matter what the queen's doing, they're still foraging and bringing stuff in. Give them room to put that. Let them go ahead and take care of the queen. They'll do that while they're still foraging. They're not going to shut down the foraging teams. So absolutely, I would. It all depends on honey flow, and it might be a brief pause while they raise another queen, but that will actually increase the honey flow. So that's even more of a reason to put honey supers on. Good question. Hey, Ross, thank you for your gift tonight. Your content's been so helpful for my first year. Appreciate you. Well, thanks, Ross. I appreciate you too. Appreciate you supporting the cause. I'm glad I can be of help. That's what I live to do. I wake up in the morning and say, how in the world today can I help beekeepers? I want to help them so bad. What would they like to know today? Hey, Tim, I'm in New Hampshire. 4 of my 7 hives have queens born in early June of 2022 and are laying awesome patterns. Should I think about requeening this fall or let them go through another winter? Boy, let me see, Tim. What was the timing on that? 22, 23, 24. Ooh, you're right on the line. Yeah, you're right on the line. I think I would requeen this year. I think I would. I could do either. I would be comfortable doing either one. I really would. But I'd be more comfortable knowing that I had a younger queen than I would feeling like I might lose a queen in the middle of winter and I can't get a new queen until May or June of next year. That's going to be bad. You're going to lose the hive. It might want to hedge your bets and requeen it. Yeah, 3rd year's getting at the end of the life of that queen. Thanks for your donation tonight. I've had small honey beetle infestation on 2 of the 10 frames. I placed frames in the freezer. 72 hours should I place them in the hive or scrape them off? Also, what's your recommendation for small honey beetle prevention? Yeah, you can freeze and kill beetles and whatever mites and anything living in there is going to be killed in the freezer. Wax moth, eggs, everything. And you can put them back on frozen. You might want to brush off any dead bees. Dead beetles or anything. It doesn't matter. The bees are so good at cleaning stuff up. That's what they live to do. I wouldn't clean them off unless they were just gross. Prevention of small honey beetle. Prevention would be keep your yard clean. Don't throw wax and comb everywhere when you're harvesting. Don't let the beetles smell what you're doing in there. And you want to keep clean bee yards. And then you also want to use preventative traps, for example, or swisher pads, whatever they're called. And keep the beetle level low in each hive, because if you can trap the mama beetle in oil or something, then you can actually keep your beetle level really low. So staying ahead of the game, that's what it's all about. Good question. Well, Henry, how are you? Queen marking. Each of the past 3 weeks, I've marked my 2 queens. I've followed your process to mark. The past week, I did see flakes of green on them. What am I doing wrong? Paint dry, not dry, bad pen, whatever. So you're using the, what is it called? Posco marking pens. Do I have one in my pocket? I always have pens in my pocket. Sometimes the thorax can have a little more texture, hairiness to it, and the paint may not get onto the hardness of that thorax, and it can more easily be cleaned off. Sometimes bees are just adamant. They are adamant that they don't want that on the back of their queen, and they will just pick at her and pick at her and get that off of there. They really will. I know it's giveaway time. And they will just continue to gnaw that paint off. They do it, and you leave it on there long enough, they'll get it off there. So, yeah, what you want to do is make sure it gets on there really good. Don't drown her, but get it on there pretty thick, and do let it dry a little bit. That's going to help a lot. Yeah, sure is. Okay, Art, thank you for your super sticker tonight. Hey, guys, I want to have a giveaway. Thank you so much. Man, we have so many people on the live stream tonight. That is so great to see. Giveaway time. So the giveaway word tonight that you want to leave in the comment is just hashtag mug, M-U-G, all lowercase. And what we're going to be giving away is a Beak Squad coffee mug. Look at that. And a Beak Squad pen. And last but not least, a Beak Squad sticker. I like stickers. When I was a kid, I put stickers everywhere. I loved collecting stickers, but certainly you can just enjoy these coffee mug, these Beak Squad things tonight, and be part of the Beak Squad. Doesn't cost you anything. Just got to show up for the live stream, watch my video, and you become part of the Beak Squad family. So we'll start taking your hashtag mugs now and start collecting the comments. All right. Yep. It's great to see so many people here. I appreciate all of you so much. You guys mean the world to me and Sherry and Jessica and Robbie and all. Yeah, that's great. All right, Jim. Thanks so much for the super sticker. Hashtag mug. All right. We're collecting entries. Look at that. It's growing. Appreciate it. Yeah. Jasmine, can you feed the colony honey extracted from dead outs? Absolutely. If the hive died of American foul brood or European foul brood, like a bacterial disease like that, we're a little scared that that could be transferred over from the honey frames. But if you didn't see that, your hive looked healthy, they died in the winter or something like that, just from starvation or whatever, low colony population, it's fine to do that. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Good questions. You know, one thing that I like about answering questions on live stream, it really keeps my mind sharp. You know, it makes me think, because sometimes you guys ask me questions and I'm like, I don't know. A smart person, let me tell you this while we're collecting these comments, but I believe that a very smart, intelligent person is a person who's not afraid to say, I don't know, but I'll try to find out. And also a person that will ask for help. I tell you what, if you're able to ask for help, you'll go far in life. Don't try to do everything by yourself. Try to ask for help. It's really great. All right. Margaret, thank you for your super sticker. Yeah, somebody just flashed up. We did have to reschedule our June the 6th. We were going to have a live audience here tonight. So many of you wanted to be here for the live audience, but you said I didn't give you enough time, that you can't make it on a Thursday night. So keep watching. We're going to do it on a weekend. We're going to probably do it on a Saturday afternoon. We'll give you guys plenty of time to schedule your life and make a trip over or something like that. We're going to work that over, and we're going to have a great time with a live audience. Probably keep it to 20 people, but we're going to have giveaways for the audience after the live stream giveaways. We'll have more giveaways for the audience. So it's going to be a fun time. All right, Robbie, let's go ahead and draw a winner for the Beak Squad mug tonight. who is going to be our winner. And enjoy coffee or tea or a cup of water. All right, let's see who it's going to be. Look at all the people. Oh, Mark, there you go. Mark O'Farrell. And yes, I'm live. Every now and again, people say, "I don't think you were live tonight." And it's like, yeah, I'm live, all right. I wouldn't go to all this trouble if I wasn't live. Flash up where he is supposed to email our staff so that he can make sure he's notified. You email us at longlanehoneybees@gmail.com. Within 24 hours, Mark, I believe was the name, and we'll get this shipped out right to you. I think these are available on our website. If you want one, you didn't win one tonight, I think you can still purchase those. Maybe not. Sherry's shaking her head. Probably not. All right. Very good. All right. I've got time for a couple of more questions. Some of you are just dying to ask a question. You can work one or two more in here tonight before the 59 minutes is up. Hey, Richard, how are you doing? Should you take your queen out of the hive if you catch the bees trying to ball her? It takes a pretty skilled beekeeper to know the difference between, oh my gosh, we're so glad to see the queen, take care of her, lick her pheromones off of her, feed her, and oh my gosh, we hate this queen, she's an intruder, killer. Sometimes those two are almost related. But yeah, you can usually tell the difference. They try to heat her up. They just get so tightly balled around her. They try to suffocate her and heat her up. And I've rescued bees out of a ball before. Absolutely. If they're trying to ball her, it's time to pull her out. Absolutely. That usually means there's somebody else in there. There's another queen, a virgin's flying, something like that's going on. And they're like, hey, we got a queen. Get out of here. Timothy, how are you? Would you recommend grafting from a hive that was started in the middle of April? Absolutely, only if you like those characteristics. So in other words, you don't know if they're going to overwinter well. You don't have that knowledge of the hive yet. You probably don't know about their mite levels, how good they are at maybe controlling mites on their own. There's a lot of characteristics that you don't know. But if you don't care about that, you just want a queen, production queen to keep the thing going. Yeah, you can pull a frame out and graft eggs off of it. And a lot of people just do it for experience. Absolutely. Good question. Art, what do you think of ventilated inner covers? We have a screen bottom. We expect 100 degrees plus days till September. I like ventilated inner covers. Absolutely. Passive ventilation in the summertime is always a good thing. We don't want bees flying in and out of that ventilation hole up there. Most people that have or companies that make holes up there, they put screen on them, or they make the holes small enough where bees can't go through it. That's important. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for your super sticker tonight. Appreciate it. I'm going to take a moment to say I really appreciate all of you guys tonight. I love you guys. I appreciate you so much. I look forward to the live stream. I start every Thursday morning thinking about, setting up everything, getting my head into the ball game, and kind of getting organized for. Thank you guys. I see the donations coming in. I spent the biggest part of the day, even though I did make a video, I spent the biggest part of the day preparing my teaching for this live stream, getting ready for you guys, getting my studio set up, all that stuff, because I love it so much. I love being with you guys. It's fun. You've got a friend in me, and I've got your back. Me, Sherry, Jessica, and Robbie, we all have your back. We want you to succeed at what you do. When you succeed, we look better. And when we succeed, you look better. So we're helping each other out, be successful in beekeeping. And it warms my heart to know that we can be a part of just helping you out. So I want to say I love you guys so much. Appreciate you. We are out of time tonight, but just be sure and continue to watch us. Thanks for watching the live stream tonight. Be sure and like and subscribe to this video. We appreciate it so much. And remember, I have got so many videos online. I don't know if there's a subject that I've missed talking about in beekeeping. Over the last 16 years, I've been making beekeeping videos. As far as I know, they tell me not to say this, but I'm going to say it. I think I am the longest running beekeeping channel on YouTube. Not for sure, but it seems like it. I've been on there 16 years making beekeeping videos. So if you watch my channel, you can always, if you're on my channel, you can click on the little search icon on YouTube and you can type in anything. Now, you can be on YouTube and type in David Burns inner covers, and it will give you my opinion. It will show videos of me talking about inner cover. David Burns Mite Control, David Burns green drone comb, David Burns sugar dusting, David Burns alcohol washes, David Burns honey extraction. Just type that on YouTube, because some of you say you can't find my videos, and all you got to do is search YouTube for them. I've got 735 videos on beekeeping. So enjoy watching my channel. We appreciate the support so much. All right, guys, good night. I'm going to say good night, let you go. I hope your rest of your week, have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Might be a little rain coming in this weekend, so get all your bee work done tomorrow, wherever you are, and just enjoy the weekend. Be safe. Enjoy time with your family, and stay safe. I wish you all the best. Look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much for being here tonight. And with that, I'm just going to say good night and see you next time.